Hello and welcome to this video. As you can see, I have a Hornby Legends Flying Scotsman. Now this is from a brief range which I think 10 years ago maybe, which saw Flying Scotsman, Mallard and Evening Star released in this range. But if we can just bring it up closer for a closer look, and you can see limited edition of 1,000, and so yeah, it's actually quite a nice box. Actually, it's a fairly solid piece of cardboard. As you can see, it's got representations of the locomotive, and on the back it's just the basic information, so that I can read in many different languages. I can read it in English, but not all the many different languages. But yeah, so I'm just going to take this off. I will explain something about this model. So nothing particularly special on the inside, it's just plain white. So I'm just going to put that to the side for now. I do quite like this packaging, in fact. So it's got this foam mat thing as well, and first thing is a certificate of authentication. So blah blah blah, Flying Scotsman 81. Yeah, you can read that if you want. You can pause and read that. And a brief on the loco, with some pictures and a little bit of history. But onto the loco itself, I've made a couple of slight changes to this one, but I'm going to cover that. But it does come with the clear plastic which goes over the top, and you'll notice this is actually fairly reminiscent of the type of packaging Hornby was doing at the time, with the red boxes and with this polystyrene insert. So I'm going to try and see if I can remove that part. I've never actually removed this bit before. So yeah, we will get rid of that lower part. There's nothing important on it, it's just green. So we have here the locomotive itself, and I'm going to explain the tender very shortly, because this is not the tender which came with it. I'll just poke that out because I've had to make a slight modification to this box to get it to fit, and it's a little bit tight. You can watch me break it in a second, I think. Let's see if I can get that to come free. Yeah, there we are. So this is actually an eBay job. I picked this up. It's got a bit of dust in it actually, and you need to clean it. I picked this one up from a super detail Hornby Flying Scotsman. It probably came from the NRM edition, but there is some key differences in this tender from what is on the railroad one. Mainly on the railroad one, it has a moulded coal load. This has a removable one, which, as you can see, I've removed. For some reason on these A3 and A4 tenders, I prefer to remove them. And the profile of the tender itself is actually thinner and more correct. So on the railroad ones, there is actually a slight sort of bulk overhang. It's noticeably wider. But you can see, being part of the super detail range, it's dusty, unfortunately, but yeah, it's a fairly good representation. It's a modern representation of the tender, but beggars can't be choosers. It was what was available. But I'm just going to move on to the locomotive itself. So thankfully, I've packaging is designed for this one, so I'll just get rid of that. Unfortunately, very dusty still, so I do need to, I'll give that a wipe down before I give it a run. But yeah, we have here the Flying Scotsman. So you will notice that this is based on an older tooling. So it doesn't have like the front footsteps and what have you. But compared to the railroad one of the time, this is actually much more higher detailed. So it has improved lining on the boiler bands, for example, and on the cab detail, it's not got a glazed cab, but it's got this improved lettering and everything, from much more akin to the premium one. Now the cab is lacking and dusty. I have put driver and fireman in there. They've been in there quite happily for a number of years. And just on the other side, very much a mirror of the first part, really. So yeah, she looks actually quite good, actually. So if I just bring that buffer beam into focus a bit. So yeah, you can see on there that it's got the A3 designation, and the King's Cross shed, and the number 4472. Has A3 on here, but it's got the round dome. That's a bit of a mistake. Of course, it's not got the lined out wheels, but it does have the finer motion, so it doesn't look too bad, unlike the 90s ones where the motion is quite chunky. And it did come with the brake gear, and it didn't come with a front coupling, but I would have taken that off anyway. It's in the single chimney form. I think it's supposed to really be an A1, but yeah, they printed A3 on the front for some reason. The chip itself is in the loco, so filling sound would be a bit tricky, but it does have the connections on the drawbar for the tender pickups, which for the modern tender I actually disconnected. So yeah, otherwise it's a fairly decent model for its time. The railroad one of the time was essentially the 90s model with a modern loco drive chassis, the same chassis this has got. And yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that on the ground, and I will get a loop of track set up, and we will give this a run. So back in a mo. Okay, so I've got her on the track. She is ready to go. She's DCC fitted and all programmed in. So I'm just going to reverse her back onto her train. Okay, let's just see if I can do this smoothly. The tender has a bit of a squeaky wheel, I think, but never mind. And there she is. Okay, and let's just pull the train away. Okay, so I've just got her kind of trundling away. I think the harsh light really shows the difference in greens between the loco and the tender. Okay, so I've got a bit more speed on her this time. She does look pretty good on the Pullman set. Now for express speed. Now for an express speed pass. I think it's time to bring her in, and let's just stop her right there. And yeah, just for a very quick conclusion really, unfortunately you can't get this model anymore, and it has been superseded, and there are better quality versions of the Flying Scotsman, but it's the Flying Scotsman. It looks brilliant in green. The Legends edition, if you ever find it, it's a pretty good representation. I was unfortunately unhappy with the tender, which is why I swapped it, but other than that, this one's been a pretty good runner. It's been great on DC, it's great on DCC, and as you can just see, I've had it flying around my very, very short layout with a rake of Pullmans, and thoroughly enjoyed myself. So thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, share and comment if you will, and I will be with you again with another video very, very, very soon. Bye for now. Okay, so I've got her on the track. She is DCC fitted and I have got her programmed ready to go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and reverse onto the train. Oh, fucking idiot. You're an asshole.